Alright guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of our RPG series. So far, we've been doing some great stuff in this series and we're looking forward to continuing it and trying to get as much content as we can. So if you remember, our roadmap for this year is that we finish this thing up and have it in a state where you guys can just add to it to do whatever you want and have whatever game you want, but with the foundation already set out by this series. So in the previous episode, which I recorded some time back, work is really stressful, so that's making it very difficult for me to record as many videos as I would like to, but every now and then we have to continue bringing out a video or two. So in the previous episode, we set it up where we can have our weapons showing on our weapon wheel, but then we can't do much with them. So if you take a look here, if you hit play, okay, we can move up to this, interact with it, and then we can hit tab or we can hit I, click on it, whip it, hit I again, and then when we now pause and then open up our our weapon wheel, should be able to see that our weapon wheel contains our two weapons. Now, there are a few things we have to do here. Okay, so there are a few things that we have to do. First thing is obviously to get this weapon wheel script and put it where it belongs. So it's going to go into our scripts, our player controls scripts. Maybe we'll put it inside our inventory section, though it could also fit in our combat section, but let's go with the inventory section. Now the few things that we need to do start here. So we're going to go into our character, no, not master NPC. We're going to go to our player controller. Then on our inputs, our character inputs, we'll open that up. We're going to go into combat. Let's put it in combat. Alright, let's put it in equip. Yeah, let's put it in equip. Equip or combat? Why does a weapon wheel suit most? Let's put it in equip. We're going to say open weapon wheel. Then we're going to say the key that we're going to use is tab, the keyboard. Then we're going to save that. So remember to save. After we have saved, we are going to open up we're going to go to our player. Then we're going to go to our player controller, this guy. I'm gonna open this guy up. So at the top, right under inventory is open, we're going to say private boo weapon wheel is open. Then we're going to come to on enable. So we're going to say player controls dot equip dot open weapon wheel dot performed plus equal, then let's say open weapon wheel. Then we're going to copy this whole thing paste it on disable so that we can negate it like that. Then we are going to just close this region here, or rather it's an inventory control, so let's just put it inside there. So where it says show inventory, right under that, let's say private void open weapon wheel. So just remove this part, open weapon wheel. There we go. So inside open weapon wheel, we're going to say first of all, we're also going to change one thing. Why is this? Oh, we need to give it the input action dot callback context. So now the first, before we even write that, let's go to our handling of our combat inputs. So where we are beginning to handle combat input. Let's just okay. So right here on the handle combat input, we have to change one thing here. So let's say if not inventory, what is the boolean that we created up here called? Inventory open. So if not inventory open and weapon wheel is open, so and not as well. So both of these should not be true for this to happen. So if this is not, so if it's like that, then we are going to handle our combat input. Then if let's come here, so right here on the weapon wheel, we're going to check first if weapon wheel is open, then we are going to say weapon wheel is open is equal to false, and then we are gonna say, so we're gonna say player combat dot, let's go to the player combat script. We need to create since we're going to treat it as in the combat script itself. So here's the player combat. We're going to create a game object right here. I'm gonna say public because we want to access it in a different script. Game object, our weapon wheel. So we're going to now go back to our player controller. Then we're going to say player combat dot weapon wheel dot set active false. So if weapon wheel is open and then we try to open it, it will be set to false. Else, what are we going to do next? What we're going to say is weapon wheel is open will now be set to true, and you've guessed it, we are going to activate our weapon wheel game object. So that would do away with us having to stop the game for us to view it. So like that. Nice. Come here, we'll go to our player combat. So player combat is here. It requires a weapon wheel. We're gonna put our weapon wheel there. Then we are gonna hit play. And then when we hit tab, it shows itself. When we hit tab again, it disappears. Go interact. And then I to open our inventory, equip. Then we can hit I again, then tab again. And then you can see it hasn't updated anything because there is a few things that we need to change inside of the weapon wheel. So the next script we're going to, now that we've sorted that part out, is to the weapon wheel itself. So we're going to open up the weapon wheel. Now for the weapon wheel, there's just a few things we have to change, mainly how it works, but still just a few things that we need to change. So instead of us doing this in the start, let's change it and do it on enable. So the difference with string start and on enable, start runs once in an object's lifetime. So it will run and then we will have to keep updating it somehow. But on enable, every time you disable and enable it, and given that this is an object that will be disabling and enabling a lot of times, so something we'll need to do them in the on enable function. So we're going to get our for loop, this guy. Okay, we're going to change him up a bit because we want him to do things differently. Let's just remove everything from the start. We don't want anything in the start. We can even remove the start for right now. Let's see. Okay, I meant the for loop, not the if, just the for loop, the inner for loop. So on enable, we're just gonna get the inner for loop like that. Then we're gonna remove the start. Okay, so we're saying for int I is equals to 0, I is less than the weapon available count I++. Then we're gonna change, remember the index that we deleted? We're gonna re-add it. So we're gonna say int index is equal to I. Then what we're gonna say now is we're going to create a new variable at the top here. We're going to create a new variable at the top here. Our variable is going to be of type public list, a list of strings, which we're going to call the weapon names, and it's going to be equal to new. Okay. So now, public list of strings weapons is equals to no. So what are we trying to do here? Is that on enable, we're going to see if it's we're going to get the first item or every item that is inside our weapon list. Then we're going to say if not items, if not weapon names, if not weapon name dot contains. So if weapon name does not contain, what does it not contain? We're going to say we're going to close and close. So if it doesn't contain the weapon manager dot weapon dot weapon obj dot weapon name. So if our list of names does not contain this name, alright, let's see. Actually, it should be dot available. We don't want to do this. Want it to be weapon. Yes, we don't want it to be that. We want it to be dot available weapons at index I, right? Dot. So when we get those, we're now going to get dot weapon or weapon obj dot weapon name. So if it doesn't contain the name of the weapon at the index that we are currently on, then what are we going to do in that case? We're going to open and close. What we're going to do now is to say weapon names dot add. We're going to add this very guy. So let's just copy him because we don't have the time to type everything again. Copy. paste, I'm gonna add that guy at the same index, right? Then we're going to do our transform to child is equals to dot dot dot. Then if the child is not null, we're going to get child.get component image sprite. Then we're going to do that. Then this part we're still working on it. We're still trying to figure that part out. Then at the bottom of our if statement, while it's still in our for loop, so right here, we are now going to add a listener to all of our buttons. So we're going to go to weapon buttons. I think that's what it's called it, weapon wheel buttons. So weapon wheel buttons at the same index. So remember, we want them to be corresponding. We want the name to match the button. So at index I, dot on click, then dot, we're gonna add listener. And what listener we're gonna add, we're gonna open and close parentheses. Then we are going to open and close parentheses again inside this parenthesis. Let's just put that there. Open and close parentheses, then we're going to do that. Then we're going to say on, let's say it's selected. What is the function that we created? We didn't create it. All right, let's create it. So let's come here and say private void on item on button clicked. Okay, so we're going to add listener, and then we're going to say, so it's going to take, on button click is going to take an int index. So we're going to say on button clicks, open close parentheses, and pass our index that we had initially set up at the top there. So we're going to pass it here. And then once that is done, the next thing that we're going to do is to create the function that we're going to use here. So in the update, you can see that once selected is set to true, we are actually setting up our image. But before that, inside our on button clicked here, let's do something. So we're going to say string name is equal to weapon names. Actually, let's just say item name here. Let's not, because we already have a string name which we created called item name. So let's say item name is equals to weapon names at the index that is coming in. So at that index that's coming in, then we are going to now say our weapon manager dot equipped weapon. So in our case, it's our weapon, which is the equipped weapon, is going to be equal to our weapon manager dot available weapons. Okay, available weapons dot first, the first or default. The first or default where this condition is met. So the x dot weapon obj dot weapon name equals our item name. Okay, and then we are going to say selected is equal to true. Now, once selected is equal to true, we are going to call inside here. We're gonna call on hover on. We're actually gonna call. We want the name to show. Okay, we're going to look at that later, but for now, that is what we want to add there. Then on the hovers, on hover enter, we'll look at that a bit later, and on hover exit, we'll look at that a bit later. Just comment those guys out, because we might not even need them. Then this will work the way we want it to work. So let's save that. Go into Unity, let it compile. Nice. Actually, what we can do is to say, if selected is true, what we can say is selected item, so the text, selected item dot text is going to be equal to, so it's going to be equal to the item name. That's the first thing we're going to do. Then we also have to change our image. So the equipped item dot sprite is going to be equal to our weapon manager dot weapon. This time, because we've equipped our weapon, so we know that it's the one. Then dot weapon obj dot weapon on image, like that. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna compile that. Go back to Unity again. When I hit play, so there are a few things that are gonna happen right now. If we hit tab, we can see that our weapon is this is the weapon that is showing the longsword. So let's hide that. Go over there, interact, press I, equip it, press I again. Then we're going to open our weapon wheel to the bottom. We're going to click it, and you can see our weapon name updated, and our currently equipped weapon also updated. And just so that you guys see that that's what is happening, when we go over to our player, and then let's click on our player. So you remember that on our weapon manager, we've got our currently equipped weapon. It was the sword, but now it's been replaced by the longbow, because the longbow is the one that is now equipped, and that's what we wanted. And you can see the icon there has changed. We just have to change that text because it looks terrible. Can't believe you guys let me leave that text there like that. It looks terrible. Let's come there. Let's change this text up. Oh my goodness, that text looks bad. Let's just use a normal portal. Nothing fancy. Maybe this guy. And we just center him like that. Nice. I might make him even smaller, from 40 to like 25. Then we're going to now play maximized, and then we are going to turn off our weapon wheel, hit play. Okay, so when we check that, there is nothing right now, but when we click on that, we can see the basic sword is the one that is currently equipped there. Hide that, go over there, get that. Then we're going to say I interact, equip, leave the inventory, hit our tab menu there, click on that, and then our basic elven longbow is the one that's currently equipped, and you can see that is working the way we want it to work. Alright guys, so thank you very much for the support that you guys have been showing to the series as a whole, to the videos, even to just the comment section. I really appreciate all the support that you guys have been showing. We're not going to do the equipping of the bow here. We're going to, in the next episode, look at a different inventory item. We've looked at the weapon type. So now we're going to look at maybe a craftable or maybe a consumable. So let's start with the consumable. And then from there, I'll leave the craftable to you guys for you guys to do it on your own. So from the consumable, we're going to go into the equipping of the bow and then our bow combat logic. All right. Thank you so much for the support you've been showing. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a like, comment, subscribe if you're new to the channel, do all the great stuff. This one has been a bit shorter, but sometimes it's important to make them a bit shorter so that, it's much easier to digest. All right, I'll see you on in the next one. Thank you very much for watching, and bye-bye.